So you want to know more about what's going on in the Mandarin real estate market? Well, good, because this video is just for you. My name's Justin, I'm with the Rookie for Home team, and you're on our channel, Everything Jax Real Estate. And in this video, we're going to be going over the market update report for June of 2024 as it pertains to Mandarin here in Jacksonville. So in this video, we're going to be diving into the absorption rate for the area, the days on market, the average price points, median price points, but also how many homes are on the market, how many go under contract, and how many have we seen sell recently. So with that being said, stay tuned, because when I come back, we're going to be going over all that great data. Alright, so before we get started on this, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you get notified when we post more content like this, if you haven't done so already. But that being said, we're going to look into the Mandarin area, and the first thing we're going to look at is how many homes were under contract in relation to the overall amount of homes in the market in June for Mandarin. And what we saw is we had 312 homes pending in June, compared to 1,447 total homes that were on the market. This gave us a pendulous ratio of 21.6%, which can be described as mildly active. And that's a pretty good way of putting it, because ultimately what we're seeing right now is we are seeing contracts kind of falling down some because of potential rates and higher prices. But because Mandarin is a very popular area, it's still kind of doing enough to mitigate the declining demand despite the increasing supply. Big question for that, though, is going to be in the future: does that go down in future months, or does it go up? Again, it's a weird time because summertime tends to be the busiest time of the year here in Northeast Florida, but currently we're not seeing that busy trend that we normally would have seen in years past. Now, when we start looking at what the homes are going under contract for, like what range they fall in, as far as the most homes going under contract, we see that the majority of homes going under contract, as far as the range is concerned, is between $500,000 and $600,000. Now, Mandarin is not considered a first-time home buyer only or starter home only neighborhood or area here in Northeast Florida, so it's not surprising to see some higher price points be the ones that are going under contract, because sometimes those higher price points are less less put out per se with higher rates. But then we also see, though, that homes between $400,000 and $500,000 made up the majority of homes range-wise that were actually still for sale at 277 listings for June. This also gives us a median list price, though, of $575,000. So even though those made up the most homes listed for a range, it does show us that there's more homes available above that range than below that range, since we're at $575 for that median list price. Next we're going to look at the amount of homes for sale versus contract pending. And what we can see here is there's a lot of homes available in that $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 range. So this is really more so $400,000 or $500,000 compared to the amount of homes under contract. So ultimately, there's a lot of options right now for buyers in that price range, which is shown from the data we just went over, as well as this graph. And so ultimately, it does kind of lead to that indication that if you're looking for a home in Mandarin in that price range, even closer to $350,000 or so, you have a lot of options. And so as a seller, you have a lot of competition. And so ultimately, you have to be willing to negotiate, be willing to come off your price for a buyer, because of the amount of options that they have. Now, for Mandarin, we did see there's a total of 1,519 contracts that closed in the last 6 months, and the median list or sold price of those was $527,000 some change. So the median list price currently is $575,000, but the sold price in the last 6 months for that look back is $527,000. So what that tells us is we are still seeing sellers going more aggressive on their price. Now, are they getting it? And that's a question we'll have to see in the future, as well as we look at the 1 month of data. But ultimately, they are still getting a very good price at $527,000, which still puts them over that $400,000 to $500,000 range that makes up the most homes available currently. Now, we did also see there was 252 homes that failed to sell. Now, failed to sell can be for many different reasons, and ultimately, for an area like Mandarin, you do sometimes see homes that fail to sell due to maybe being improperly listed, or just not being marketed properly, or priced too high. A lot of these homes were built in the 70s and 80s and 90s, so a lot of the condition may not have been where buyers want them to be. and then be willing to pay that price and have that rate. So ultimately though, that's something that we're going to monitor in future videos is, and we continue to monitor is, does that number go up or down? And at 252, we're still okay for the area, but if we see that number really skyrocket, that's when we want to be a little bit cautious as far as, okay, well, what's going on here? Because in some regards, it could be good for sellers because it means there's now less competition because they've all come off the market, but it also could be a negative indicator depending on why they came off the market. So that's something for us to monitor. Then from there, we're going to look at days on market. So days on market for Mandarin are pretty high. It's one of those things that if you've been watching these videos for the last couple months or a year or two, well, one, definitely appreciate it. But two, as you'll probably have seen, days on market has been lower in the past. And what we're seeing now is for the homes that are currently on the market, the median time is 57 days on the market. So if you're looking to sell right now in Mandarin, you have to just understand it's going to take some time, and you're going to be probably around 2 months to get your home under contract potentially. It could take longer. So ultimately, it's just taking that into account to just make sure that you're being conscious on what you should list the home for, because ultimately, if you list the home too high, you could run into a situation where, again, those days on market just keep going up. Now, the next question though is, how does that compare to the ones that are selling? Well, for the last 6 months, the homes that we're selling were taking about 35 days, which is about half the time, or a little over half the time. And so again, it just leads to the fact that if you're pricing your home higher, maybe not being as aggressive with the price in other regards, you could be on the market longer than you'd want to be. So something to take into account. And something that I can always discuss with you to determine, what's the right number for the house, to be aggressive with it, but not be overpriced to where you run into a situation where you're on the market way longer than you ever anticipated. Now, in regards to the last 30 days though, what we do see is that the sold price last 30 days actually went up to $533,000. So relatively speaking, we are seeing prices come up some, but at the same time, they're starting to level off some. So ultimately, you got to take it with a grain of salt. And ultimately, what you see here too is the days on market for the last month was 41 days. So although prices are coming up some, we are seeing days on market come up as well. So ultimately, that's something that could be a indicator in the future that we might actually see prices come down because days on market aren't coming down. So something to monitor as we move forward. Now, the median listed sales ratio for the area is 98.6%. And so ultimately, that's pretty much saying that sellers are getting roughly just under 99% of what they're asking. And that's one of those things that it's for different reasons. It could be that the sellers are just being more aggressive with their pricing to get multiple offers or to get an offer quickly. It could mean that the sellers come down far enough now that the buyers understand they can't get as much as they would like. So therefore, they only get a little bit more off of that. But ultimately, it is good to see that sellers are getting close to what they're asking for their home when they go under contract. Doesn't mean they're getting close to what they're asking when they hit the market. It just means they're getting close to what they're asking when they're under contract. Now, next up, we're going to look at the absorption rate. And what we see with the absorption rate is that there's 4.5 months of inventory for the Mandarin for the last 6 months look back. Now, 4.5 months is starting to lead us to more of an equilibrium market, which is 6 months inventory, which means that's not a buyer's market, it's not a seller's market. Something to definitely key into and keep an eye on, because ultimately the higher that absorption rate goes, the more power buyers have, and the more likely we are going to see prices come down across the board. So very important as we go into future months to key in on that to see what exactly happens. Then lastly, we're going to look at in each individual price range, we're going to look at what the absorption rate was for those. And what you can see here is ultimately, if you're looking to buy for $700,000 or less in the area, you are probably in a position where inventory is less. And so ultimately you do have a little more competition, but you do have the ability to negotiate as well compared to if you're at the higher price points. Now, Mandarin is a little bit odd though, in the sense of if you're looking over $1 million in Mandarin, you actually kind of go back to more of that seller's market a little bit. So really what I can point out with this is that the ideal window, if you're a buyer looking to really maximize your opportunity, maximize your negotiating power, anywhere from $700,000 to just under $1 million really gives you that ability to have a lot of options to choose from and therefore be able to negotiate a bit more than at the lower price point below it or a higher price point above it. So definitely a little different than other areas of Jacksonville, Northeast Florida. That being said, that's going to wrap up this market update for June here in Mandarin. If you had any questions on anything I went over, in the description of this video below is a link to my calendar. Feel free if you want to schedule time for us to meet face-to-face or over Zoom. I'd love to further discuss any questions you have on the area, anything I can help you with for the area, as well as ultimately, what I can do to really help you and your family. Or if you'd rather just hop on a call, in the description of this video as well is my phone number. Feel free to give me a shout. I'd love to discuss further with you your home search needs or your home selling needs, and help determine what's the best route for you to be able to take at this time with this different market compared to what we've seen in years past. So as always, like this video, subscribe to our channel. I mean, you already watched this whole video anyways, you might as well subscribe to it, right? And ring the bell so you notify when I post more of these market updates in the future. And I'll see you guys again on the next market update. Until next time.